All right, we are live. Welcome to another edition of Passion and Faith. Should I be? Oh, there we are. So I was looking for my single camera. Thank you. Now, passion and faith is everything we're passionate about, regardless of what that is. That's Curt's hand that you just saw there.
Oh,
and
sorry.
the things that keep us grounded, it's all good. So you're giving it all away. So today we are joined by none other than Curt Menefee. Yay! Curt, I mean, when are you not working? We welcome you into our homes on Sundays right before football. You jumpstart our work week, the mornings, our work week. Like, you are everywhere. How the hell do you do it? You're bi-coastal too.
Yeah, because we do the NFL on Fox show out of Los Angeles.
Yes.
And obviously Good Day New York here in New York. So it's just one. I guess I'm the guy who starts everybody's day.
You
Monday
are.
through Friday, you wake up and see me. Sundays, wake up and see me. It's all good. It's, I always say, if I weren't doing this, it's what I would want to do.
Yes.
So enjoy it.
Absolutely.
So I got no complaints. I miss my wife, but that's another story. I don't complain about any of this stuff because it's truly a blessing to be able to do this.
Well, speaking of that, it being truly a blessing, you've been doing this for. Do you mind if I put it out?
Years.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't care.
Decades.
No, I started when I was
Jokingly.
19 years
19
old
years old.
in 1984. So I've been on TV probably longer than you've been alive. You know?
I'm not giving my age
Okay.
away. But we're looking at a young Curt right there.
Oh yeah,
Quite
yes.
the stud.
That was at WISC in Madison, Wisconsin, and that was the first anchor job I had. So I worked as a reporter while I was in college. So my sophomore, junior, and senior year, then graduated from college, worked 1 year as a reporter in Des Moines, and then got that job in Madison, Wisconsin as a weekend sports anchor, and I've been basically behind the desk ever since. You do some reporting, you do some.
You do
anchoring.
whatever they tell you to do.
Right, exactly. And then did play-by-play for years at the NFL on Fox, but I was doing that while I was here as well. So I've always been, once I got behind a desk there, pretty much behind a desk, we're doing play-by-play.
Are you familiar with longtime sports anchor who has passed, Fred Hickman?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, Fred is probably...
He's OG, boy.
Yeah, well, he's probably responsible for me being in this business, period.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no question. I grew up in Atlanta, and CNN is based in Atlanta.
Yes, which is where he started. He's one of the first sports anchors.
Back in the day when CNN had sports.
Yes.
Back in the 80s. So, that's me as a kid.
Look at that.
That's not Fred. That's me as a kid. I think that's my first grade picture. Oh, my gosh.
Cutie
All right.
pie.
Yeah. The afro was a little askew. I think I was playing probably on the playground before the school pictures got taken. So the fro probably was styling at the beginning of the day.
It still looks strong. You still
Yeah, but the right side's a little bit off. A little bit. But I probably taken a shot playing basketball. Anyway, so no, CNN's based in Atlanta.
Yes.
And so when I was in high school, I was looking at different colleges, and I wanted to go to a small school away from home. And there was this school where I wound up going, Coe College, COE, in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and they had no journalism program. I don't even know if they certainly didn't have a speech department, but I never took a speech class.
Okay.
Maybe I should if I said take. So I was looking at it, and the recruiter said, "Hey, Fred Hickman at CNN went to Coe College." I was like, "Really?"
Wow.
And so I just randomly picked up the phone, called him. He called me back the next day. I was a 17-year-old kid, and just gave me kind of the ins and outs of what it would be like going to Coe College, particularly being a black kid from Atlanta, Georgia, going to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which is a whole different world, especially when you're a young person and you don't know what it's like away from home, period.
Culture shock.
Culture shock for sure. But I stayed in touch with Fred, and he helped me get an internship at CNN the summer after my freshman year. So by doing that, when I went back to Cedar Rapids the fall, going into my sophomore year, I called up all the local stations, said, "Hey, I interned at CNN. I'm willing to do anything you need. I just want to work." And one guy, John Campbell, wrote my number down, called me back 4 months later, and said, "Hey, I just need somebody to carry some gear at a game. You won't be on TV. You won't be famous." I said, "I'll do it." And then I did that. He said the next week, "Hey, I need someone to carry gear. You willing to do it?" I go, "Yeah." And it was that second time that I did it. He goes, "What do you want to do?" I go, "I don't know. I think I want to be a producer or a camera guy or whatever." I knew I wanted to be involved in sports.
Yes.
But being on television, on camera, never even registered in my brain. So I wanted to do that, and I had learned how to edit by being at CNN the summer before.
Okay.
So I
Excuse me.
had that skill, went there, and it just turned into, it was a volunteer thing at the beginning. Then he hired me or got me put on staff. I was still in college. and I would edit and go out and shoot games. He taught me how to operate a camera, which I didn't know, but
Wow.
John Campbell did that. And then after a while of doing that, he said, why don't you take the highlights that we do from the games at night and just put your voice down on tape just to see what it sounds like and kind of play with it. I did that, unbeknownst to me. He took it to the news director and said, why don't we have this kid start reporting on like high school sports or Division III, which is where I went to school. And I started that when I was 19, April of 1984. And from that point on, it just kind of evolved, and I wound up being an anchor later on there that year. And here
Just
I am.
off to the races from there.
But it all goes back to, as you were saying, Fred, and then John Campbell, who I still see every year. I'm on the board of trustees at Co-College now. So when I go back for the May meeting every year, I make sure we get together for lunch, dinner, breakfast, or something, just so that he knows how much he's retired now and all this. But I mean, these are people that change your life.
Yes.
You know?
I'm literally getting chills because I had no idea of that connection. And yesterday, while I was researching, I work with Fred at the Black News Channel.
Really?
Yes.
I never knew that.
Yes, Fred was at the Black News Channel. He and I worked together, God rest his soul, up until his passing.
Wow.
And as I was researching for today, I thought of him and I said, Curt reminds me so much of Fred. And just the way that Fred was very welcoming, very open. I remember getting to BNC, and I was very insecure about my writing. And I remember doing my research on Fred and saying, oh my God, this guy's been in the business all these years. He was at CNN when it started. And going to him and just kind of saying, hey, do you mind looking at my writing for every story I had to do? And he said, no, I don't have a problem with it. Come on over. Just very accommodating. And that's how you are.
Well,
you have that.
Thank you for saying that. But, I think that part of it is, one, I think everything is a part of your upbringing. But part of that is having mentors when we didn't even call them mentors.
Yes.
They're just people who were nice to us. But like Fred Hickman or like John Campbell I mentioned, someone helped me out along the way. Helped me, try and develop my style, be who I am, or learn about the business. And sometimes mentors can help you learn what you don't want to do.
Yes.
That's a benefit as well. But I always remember that, and so kids call me all the time now. I talk about being on the board of trustees. I've worked at the NFL boot camp where players come in and they want to get in this business.
I reach out to you often.
Well, but I'm always willing to help anybody because I go, someone reached out and helped me at some point in my life. So I owe it to the universe, to karma, to help somebody else. And sometimes it's just a word. Sometimes it's being critical about, hey, this is what you should do versus what you're doing now. And sometimes it's just like, hey, hang in there. Don't worry about it.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you are spending 24/7 with that person.
But it means
just
a
because
lot.
you're reaching out. Well,
it means a lot.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you're so busy, Curt. I mean, we talked about your schedule. You're bi-coastal. You're married. You have multiple shows that you do. I mean, to be able to reach out to you and for you to reciprocate that same energy, no ego involved, just, hey, this is what I think you should do. Or, as you mentioned, you got it. Keep going.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. And
And you didn't pay me to say that.
No.
Let's just be clear.
Well,
I didn't get
this
paid.
is all coming together because I never knew that you knew Fred. It's nice of you to say kind words about me, but, certainly about him because, I think both of us, he's had a huge impact on our life. And as you said, passed away a couple of years ago from cancer. And certainly missed.
And was still working, and we had no idea that he was going through that private battle.
Yeah, he kept it quiet.
He did. He did. Okay, so let's lighten things up now. Now that we know we have that connection.
Yes.
Who knew?
And our offices are right next to one another, and we never talked about this. How does that happen?
Never. And I swear to you, it just came up yesterday. So I'm glad I asked that.
I'm glad you asked.
Okay, so NFL Sundays, we welcome you into our homes. You're with the guys. You're with Michael Strahan. You two seem to have quite the bond.
Yeah.
Is that
real?
I wouldn't say real because you don't strike me as a guy that comes across to do things just for antics or like clickbait. Who's your favorite guy? I want to say Michael Strahan.
One.
I don't know why.
That's going to cost. I love them all equally.
I knew you were going to say it's like a doting mother.
Exactly. It really is. Because you have a different relationship with the guys. This is my 20th year hosting Fox NFL Sunday, and that's what you talk about time flying. But, Terry, Howie, Michael, it was Jimmy until this year. He finally retired. Gronk. All those guys, you have a different relationship with each one. Like Michael and I are more like brothers because we're closer together in age. Howie's like your
Like
older
flat
brother.
brothers?
Well, yeah, yes, stepbrothers, yes. Howie's like your older brother who is always going to give you advice and tell you what to do and look at you when you go wrong. You know, I guess Terry's your crazy uncle. That's probably the best way to put it. But
He's got quite the energy.
he really does. But everybody, there's a genuine love for each other, and I mean that word specifically. Not just we like each other, we love each other. Our families, my wife and Howie's wife text like they're high school girls.
Oh, I love that.
So like our family, I've known Michael since 1995. When I came to New York, it was his second year with the Giants. My first year starting out doing sports here at Fox 5, and I got to know him just by covering the team and that kind of thing, and then we became personal friends and would go out and do things. So I've known Michael forever. Jay Glazer, who was our insider,
Yes,
he was the best man at my wedding.
Wow.
Those guys got married in Italy. Howie and his wife were over there, and he's got stories about Jay at the wedding that we'll get into later on. But
that's spicy.
There's a genuine friendship amongst us. So this is not just showing up on Sunday and pretending you like one another and that kind of thing. We all really, really love each other and get along.
How lucky are you?
I am.
Because you don't get that all the time.
Nope. And there are people that do other shows, and I'm not finger pointing, whatever, but they tolerate people they work with, or they just work with them, and that's it. No relationship otherwise, and that's fine. I'm not here to judge. Everybody does it a different way. But what works for us, exactly. But what works for us is having that bond and that relationship. And I go back to giving credit to David Hill, who was at the time when I was there and who started Fox Sports in 1994. Understanding the chemistry aspect of it, not just going, okay, I'm going to hire someone who's really good at this and someone who talks well and does this. It's like you've got to have a chemistry that translates through the television screen. Because when we do the show, we travel all around the country and you see people in airports and everywhere. And people have never told me, you guys do a great job of breaking down the cover two. They say, you guys have so much fun.
Yes.
Or I love it when Terry messed up and you guys made fun of him. It's about the chemistry and the relationship. And that's what people enjoy.
Yes.
Because they feel like it's entertainment as much as anything else. The X's and O's part of football, I won't say they could care less, but it's certainly not a high priority.
Now that you're speaking about that, let's talk about when you came to New York. You were 19 years old.
No, when I came to New York.
Sorry, you came to New York. You were 29.
29, yes.
29. You'd already been in the business for 10 years. It's very similar to myself. What was that like, coming to the place where you are right now?
Yeah, and it's amazing. Talk about full circle being back at Fox 5.
Yes.
When I came here to do Monday through Friday at sports, I was 29 years old. And so I'd been a lot of places. I told you I started when I was 19 in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I went to Des Moines, Iowa, Madison, Wisconsin. We had the picture earlier. I was in Jacksonville, Florida. I worked for a cable network, SNN, which was Sports News Network, which was nothing but sports news and highlights 24/7. And then they went bankrupt. So I worked in Dallas, Texas, and then I finally got to New York when I was 29.
That's quite the climb.
Yeah, it was kind of fast to be that many places in that short amount of time. But once I got here, then I've only worked in New York and at the network at Fox, in the time since. So it was good for me because I think one of the great training grounds that I had by doing local sports in Dallas was the Cowboys were super successful. So I was there Jimmy Johnson's last 2 years, in which they won Super Bowls both years, and Barry Switzer's first year, they went to the NFC Championship. Okay. So I had not only covered local sports, I'd covered it at a high level, Super Bowl teams, and I'd also gotten some exposure to some network people. And so that helped in the transition in coming to New York, where you've got the Yankees, who I told George Steinbrenner, this is back in the day, I was like, you owe me because I was in Dallas, they won championships. I come to New York, and I get here in 95, 96, they win their first World Series, and then they won 4 in 5 years.
So wait, what's happening now?
I'm like,
what's happening now?
Teams all around me should win. So I'm not in sports right now here. So that's on Tina. I'm blaming it on her. So, but it's one of those things. I was fortunate enough to cover championship teams and teams at a high level. And so, but having that experience in Dallas, I'm sure helped me in New York because I knew how to approach it a little bit better. And so it was fun, when I got here to New York and being able to do sports. And, God, the Yankees were rolling then, or you even go to 2000 when they played the Mets in the World Series. You had both teams rolling. The Rangers had just won the Stanley Cup. The Devils were in the midst of their run of winning Stanley Cups.
It was hot. New York was hot.
The Knicks were in the Eastern Conference Finals every year. I mean, sports, that was the time for all sports in New York.
So this is, Curt, this is your first time on the platform.
Yes.
And so we're very interactive with our folks that are watching. And so every now and then you'll see me look to the screen.
Okay.
So let's go to some of these questions that we have.
Okay.
All right, we got Steven. He's asking, do you have any predictions for tonight's Giants-Eagles game tonight?
It'll be on Fox 5. Pregame coverage at 7:30.
That's a good
Games
start.
at 8:15. That's my prediction. No, I think, look.
If you had to bet, if you had to put
I'm
money.
not a betting guy, but
Okay,
I will
come
say,
on.
look, the Eagles are the defending Super Bowl champs, and I still think they, if not the best team in the league, they're in the top 3. The Giants are beginning to turn things around.
Okay.
So I think it's a big challenge. I think the worst thing that happened for the Giants, is the Eagles lost on Sunday. They lost their first game of the season then. They've had their little team meetings and all that, so everybody's going to be super focused to get back on track. I think it's wrong team, wrong time. But you never know.
To
Division
play the
games.
Eagles.
Yeah, for the Giants. Yeah, I think this is.
yeah,
if the
yes.
Eagles had won last week, I think it would be much better for the Giants to try and sneak up on them a little bit. I don't see that happening tonight. Hey, but they play the games, and I could be wrong.
All right, we'll go in and we'll watch, right? We'll be
Right here on
ready.
Fox 5.
Yes, don't forget that, because that's really what he sold.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a K-Cash one. They are asking, what advice would you give someone who wants to get into the TV business? That's perfect, because we were just coming off of you coming to New York.
I think you've got to be dedicated and committed to really being in the TV business.
Yes.
You can't. What was this saying? I'm trying to remember. Like you can't try to be in the TV business. You're in or out, because there's going to be a lot of
grunt work.
A lot of grunt work at not very good pay. You may have some roommates. You may have to live with other people. I mean, it's you hear the stories about struggling actors and being waiters and waitresses and that kind of thing. I mean, I know people that have, I won't say second jobs, but have to supplement their income in some way or another. And not saying we're pleading poverty, because it's not that way all the time. But you've got to get through that hurdle
get to that level
at the beginning before you start making money, before you start getting on TV regularly and those kinds of things. So the first thing is you really have to be dedicated and committed to doing it, not just thinking it's going to be something that's cool. So once you're in that, take advantage of any and every opportunity you can. And I think there's so many more opportunities than there were when I was starting out.
Yes.
Because
we were just talking about this.
Yeah, because you got on television, and that was the only way to get on television.
Yes.
Well, now you've got podcasts, you've got YouTube. You can just do things and put it on a platform. If you want to talk sports, start talking sports and just put it up on YouTube.
So true.
Because you want to get the reps. The more you read, like when I was growing up, like I say, the only way to do it was to do it. But what I would do was I would literally read the newspaper out loud and stand in front of a mirror and just do it and watch myself and listen to myself. And, you're doing it by trial and error. But I would do that. But now I would do a YouTube channel or a podcast so that I could get used to speaking extemporaneously and get my thoughts together and figure out the format that I want to do. Because maybe you want to do play-by-play. Maybe you want to, I'm talking about sports.
Yes.
But maybe you want to do play-by-play. Maybe you want to be a radio talk show host. Maybe you want to have a podcast. Try a bunch of different things. Try as many different things as you can, but don't let the fact that you can't get in the door day one hold you back. You just got to fight and keep going.
Great advice. I want to bring you back because you talked about, starting out. It's rough. It's rough, and you're not paid a lot. Do you remember your first apartment as a sports reporter?
Yeah, of course I do. I mean, I remember my first apartment, my second apartment. I remember. The big one for me was, so I told you I was in college in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So I was living in the college apartments and that kind of thing. When I went to Des Moines, I lived in an apartment building where there were multiple units and one bathroom for the whole floor. So it was, well, in my head, I'm like, I'm fresh out of college. It's like a college dorm. So what's the difference? There's a difference.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a difference. We had one guy who, I don't know, was losing his hair or something, and the drain would always be clogged in the shower. And it's the most disgusting thing that you could ever, it's as bad as you can imagine. So, but I did that, but it's what you do because that's all you can afford. So I remember when I went to Madison, Wisconsin, and that was the first job, and I keep coming back to that. because that was just 2 years out of college.
And you learned so much
Yeah,
in that first,
and I was still
in your
young.
first market.
I was still 2 years out of college, not even 2 full years out of college. So I did that, but I had to have a roommate, and so the roommate was one of the producers there. He got a job in Miami, so he left Madison, went to
Big
Miami.
time.
Yes, but I couldn't afford a 2-bedroom apartment, so I moved out and I moved into a studio apartment. And I was so
Same.
proud of myself, though,
Yes,
because I'm
yes.
like, I got my own place, and it was $600 a month, you know.
How
And
big was it? Mine was
oh,
500 square feet.
yeah, mine was
It
like
was-
520
it
or
was
whatever.
tiny.
Yes, it was really
God.
tiny. But again, you're young. So I was 23 and 24 at that time. So it didn't matter. I had my own place, and I felt good about it. Or maybe it was 24 and 25, but right around that range. And so it's part of what you do, though. And especially when you're young. It's like, I don't need a lot of space. I'm working all the time. Ramen noodles don't take up that much space in the kitchen, you know? So you don't need a whole lot of counter space. It makes it nice and simple. So yeah, I remember that. I remember going back that step when I went to work in Des Moines. I was making $13,500 when I took the job. And I was, a sports reporter.
What's that in today's money? If you
I
had
have to
guess.
put out a calculator. I'd say probably about
If you had to
30,000.
guess. Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
That was my first job.
So I did that, and then you're on probation, just being a new hire. And after 6 months, I got a raise to $16,000. And I thought I was in heaven.
Ballin'.
I still had to have a roommate, but I thought I was in heaven because I was like, okay, I can actually go out now, I can have a drink every now and then, maybe have a meal at Chili's or TGI Fridays or something.
The simple things.
It's simple things. It's what makes you happy.
Yeah.
But you feel good about it because you feel like you've earned something.
And you're doing something that you love.
That you love, exactly. And you're seeing progress in it.
Yes.
You're seeing going from this level to this level, and even if it's small and incremental, it's progress.
So let's go back to the chat because folks are chiming in, and we're so appreciative. Thank you for tuning in. So the most recent question, and Daniel, I'll come back to you. How do you manage Fox NFL Sunday and Good Day New York traveling back and forth?
I learned to sleep on planes. That's the first thing. I try to take a nap because when I go back and forth, and I'm doing it because it's a podcast. Nobody feels sorry for you, nor do I expect people to, and I'm not saying it for that. But like, I'm here in New York Monday through Friday. My wife is in California full time. She comes to visit periodically. But I see her one day a week. I see her on Fridays, and I leave on Saturday to go back to get ready for our Sunday show. So what I try to do is on the flight out there is take a nap. I've got work to do for Fox NFL Sunday. So I do some work, but I try to take a nap so that when I land, I'm able to have dinner with my wife or have a bottle of wine on the balcony, those kinds of things. Because I land in L.A., and we live up in Santa Barbara. So it's another, depending on traffic, 2 hours, hour and a half up there. So I do that Friday night, get up Saturday. We play golf or tennis together, have breakfast together, and then I head down to L.A. to do the show. So we're together about 20 hours a week. And I think
Saturday love.
Yeah,
As the
exactly.
song goes.
Friday night, Saturday love.
Yeah.
And so I try to nap on the planes, and that's the number one thing. And then the other thing is just like for me, my whole life has been I don't mind working, And so I just put my head down and do whatever's required. I think it helps to be able to compartmentalize. I know what I've got to do today for Good Day. I know what I've got to do Sunday for Fox NFL Sunday. And you just focus on accomplishing that task in the time period that's required. Because we all have deadlines for everything. We live in a world of deadlines. So we know that, hey, by this time, I've got to be at this point. I've got to be prepared for it. So you learn to compartmentalize, and I think that certainly
word.
helps. I know, it's hard to say. But the other thing I'll say, too, and again, not to be a guru or whatever, but I'm a big believer in meditation. And I've done transcendental meditation, my wife and I both, for about 16 years now.
Tell us about that, because I love that you meditate, and he also takes Pilates.
Yes.
It's a very zen
I'm
man.
actually going to my Pilates class right here at noon today. So, yes.
We're going to hold you up.
But what the meditation does for me, because it's different for everyone else, but it allows me to kind of separate the noise on the outside world versus what goes on in here. And it's amazing because I find it, again, for me, that I'm able to recognize like breathing in each and every little detail of what's going on within me, yet at the same time be oblivious to everything else. And it's really it's weird to do at the beginning because you're like, well, this makes no sense because you take the class, I'm going to meditate, but then you hear the noises of New York City. Or I do it on a plane, and you hear other people. But after a while, that's why it's called practice.
Yes.
You know, meditation practice. You do it, and after a while, you get to that Zen place or whatever you call it. But I find that to be very important. And I start every day. I wake up, my alarm goes off. It's 3:15. I'm usually up by then. But I make sure I meditate for 20 minutes before I get up and shower and all that to start the day. And then I'll do it for a second time at home to just kind of separate the noise of everything else to getting back to being me.
I love that. 20 minutes?
20 minutes twice a day.
Sometimes I find it hard to do 5.
Yeah.
And 3:15, you're waking up. I'm already in the building. I'm
I
pouring my first cup of coffee.
I can't imagine. I mean, look, life happens. Don't get me wrong, but I can't imagine starting my day without it.
Without.
Yep.
Every
So
single
even
day,
when I'm on
7
the
days a
road,
week.
7 days a week. Even when I'm on the road, you know, you have a late night, whether it's work or play. I get up the next morning and I set the alarm to make sure I have those 20 minutes.
That's impressive. I can't believe that we're already 30 minutes, almost 30 minutes into this conversation. I still have so many more questions, and so do the people watching. So what I want to do is let's do rapid fire questions right now, because
Okay.
I do want to get to know you a little better. So we know you take Pilates. Are you a reformer or mat guy?
I'm a reformer guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So look, look at his body. It's barely made for Pilates, but I think it certainly helped me.
About?
No. Well, that's the one thing. Pilates, everyone can do it.
You're a
It certainly
stud.
helps. With,
Stud muffin.
Yeah. Will you tell my wife, please? But I think it helps, you know, with your core and with your aging and all that. But I think there's a mental aspect of it as well. So yeah.
Absolutely. I'm a reformer girl as well.
Okay.
I like playing with something.
Yeah,
so I love
right.
the machine. Okay, texting or talking?
Texting. And I don't know how much of it is that I talk all day for a living.
Yes.
So at some
I
point,
feel
I'm
the
like, I'm
same way.
tired of talking.
I'm tired of talking.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I want to do is talk.
Yeah. When I go home, I FaceTime my wife, you know, and usually to catch up on the day and then before bed at night. Other than that, unless it's a business call or something, I don't talk. It's just like I'll text people. It's just like I'm talked out.
Yeah. I'm talked out, tapped out. If your younger self could see you now, what would they say? What would the younger Curt from first grade, that photo that we showed of you? That's the party Curt.
That's the party Curt from college.
ready.
Yeah.
What would he say
He
to the guy that you've become?
Oh, that's the silly Curt from college as well. That's the one that would be doing the native New Yorker dance. Not anymore, though. I think the younger self, that guy, he would say, well done. That's what I hope he would say. But, you know, I do the reverse as well, is when I do things now, I always say, what would the 8-year-old Curt say?
That's good.
That guy. And so that's, to me, why I try to appreciate so much in life. Because we didn't get into it, but I mean, I grew up in Atlanta, single mother, evicted from a lot of places. And again, I'm not trying to do that story, but it's just the story of my life.
Your story.
Like, so it was a hard upbringing, public assistance, all that stuff.
Same.
And so I go, look at where I am now. If you told that kid back then who's going through all of that, hey, just keep grinding, keep grinding.
Hold
someday it'll be worth it. That kid would be amazed. And I try to appreciate that. I don't take anything for granted. Waking up in the morning, first of all, working where I work. I'm blessed to work with people that I enjoy working with.
Amen.
You do Super Bowls and all this kind of stuff. And I try to take that in. Like when I did the Super Bowl this year, I spent time just kind of walking around the football field and just taking it in and not taking it for granted, you know, and not saying, hey, look at me. Just being appreciative of the opportunities that I've been blessed to have.
Absolutely. And Curt, I'll be completely honest, or transparent is a better word. That was one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation with you, is because we have similar upbringings. I'm very fascinated by people who work for their success. It's not handed to them. They're not a legacy baby. Their dad, their mom, no one helped them. You really built this from the ground up. I share your background as well. Single parent, growing up on public assistance. When my mom passed, taking care of my siblings while still having a dream, but not really even knowing that this was the dream.
Right.
Until later on.
And even when you know it's a dream, at least for me, even when you know it's a dream, not even know if it's possible.
If it's possible. I remember my mother said that to me. I see you on TV. I was about 17. I said, what are you talking about? Who do you know on TV? But fast forward, and here I am.
So,
here we are.
Again, I'm sorry to interrupt, but talk about similar backgrounds. and mother seeing things. My mother passed away. I was here in New York.
Mine as well, and my condolences.
So same to you. My mom passed away in 1997, and I was here. I had been in New York for 2 years or whatever. But I remember when I was in Dallas and I got the job in New York, and calling my mom and telling her, "Hey, I got the job in New York," and the first words out of her mouth were, "Someday you're going to work at the network." And I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
And that like hadn't even crossed my mind because I'm
Same.
in the I'm going to New York and great, and her mind had gone there already. And not that it was a goal or I've got to do that. I was happy doing what I was doing, but I look back on that and I'm like, 'cause she passed away 2 years after that, and you go, what did she know? What did she see?
Yes.
Yes,
to have that conversation now.
Yeah,
would be
and
everything.
right, and to have it before she passed away, and obviously, it wound up coming to fruition. And again, that was not on my radar. I hadn't thought about it, but you look back in these conversations that you have, especially with loved ones who passed away,
Yes.
and you go, was that some angel, that was here to kind of keep me on the path that hey, keep going, to keep me from going down the wrong road.
Yes.
Because I'm surrounded by people that did
Absolutely.
go down the wrong path.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to wrap this up soon. What keeps you grounded?
Life.
Besides your beautiful wife, too.
Yeah, yes, my wife.
I like her.
For
She's
sure.
spicy.
She is spicy. she doesn't let me get away with anything. But
There she is on the drums.
Yes. Oh, that's at our wedding. So we got married in Ravello, Italy, and we played Signed, Sealed, Delivered. So I'm playing bass. She's in her wedding dress playing drums. She was a drummer in a band, but she plays.
Say what?
Oh yeah. So she plays drums. She plays piano. She plays trumpet. She plays guitar. All that stuff.
Do you guys get down?
No, that's the only song we've ever played together. So this is
Really?
like, it's weird because we like doing our own thing and not playing together. And for whatever reason, one day at home, we played Signed, Sealed, Delivered together. I don't know how, I don't remember how it happened. And so when we were at the wedding, the band was playing. We had friends that were there that knew we both played instruments.
Okay.
And a couple of drinks that, flowed at that point.
You
It's
said,
your
"Give me
wedding.
that."
It's your wedding. Well, and one of the guys was like, "You guys should play with the band." I'm like, "Pfft." He's like, "No, you should do it." And then again, drinks had flowed. And so you start thinking, like, okay. So we talked to each other. And we're like, well, the only song we ever played together was Signed, Sealed, Delivered. I'm like, okay.
That's
so we went and got the
perfect.
lyrics printed out at the hotel printer.
Okay.
Gave it to the lead singer. We asked if we could borrow the instruments. And then we played it, and the lead singer sang it, and we played the instruments there.
For anyone out there who is unaware, Curt plays the bass, and as you just mentioned, his wife plays several instruments.
Yes.
We didn't even get into the fact that you're an author. You're in the Broadcast Hall of Fame because of NFL Sunday, the show, which is
It's
amazing.
been a good life, man. It has been a wonderful life. I pray to God that I've still got another 50 years left here on this earth, healthy and happy years.
You want me to roll you onto the set?
Yeah, no. I want to be able to walk. I will do native. If I make it to my 100th birthday, I'll come back here and do native New
stop.
Yorker.
You know,
that
I was going
time
to
I'll
talk to
do
you
it.
about that. Why the hell don't you dance, Curt? What's up with that?
Because
we
I
don't
don't
get like a little bop out of you.
Because
for
I
native
don't
New
want to.
Yorker.
That's why. I've got to the point now in life. I'm like, if I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it. So
I'm not
that's it.
mad
I'm
at
putting
that.
my foot down. So that's it. But no, look, I am so blessed and fortunate to live the life and to have the life. Because I know a lot of people that work their asses off and just for whatever reason don't achieve the level of success that they want to.
Yes.
Because I think success is personal. It's not about where you work. It's not about your paycheck. It's not about, whatever that metric is that a lot of people look at other people and say that makes them successful. It's personal. For some people, it's about their family. It's about where they live. It's about what makes them happy. And if you're happy, you're successful. And I'm fortunate enough to have success and hopefully, knock on wood, keep it up.
Amen to all of that. All right, I can't think of a better place to end.
Well,
This conversation was so fruitful. Curt, thank you so much.
I'm sorry I dominated it. So.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
We want to have you back because there's so much more to
I'll
talk
be back.
about.
You know where I am. I'm right next door to you in the office. And then we pass each other every morning when you're wrapping up.
Literally like ships.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
we're right there. So you know where to find me.
I do. And I want you guys to know it took months to nail this down because you're so busy. And so thank you again.
No, thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Thank you, everyone out there who tuned in, who watched this episode of which camera should I look at, Matt? Should I look at the two? Let's keep Curt in it. Hopefully, it'll help with viewers. Thank you.
Eye candy. That's what I am. That's what I'm known as.
Can we get a shimmy?
Can't help it.
Eye candy. Thank you so much for tuning in this episode of Passion and Faith. It was a pleasure. And if you didn't catch the whole interview, you can watch it on Fox Local streaming app.
Why don't you say what's on your mind now? Just let them know. You'll regret it if you don't. Gotta say what's on your mind now. Just let it go. Get your thought out like